Hello, class. This is a walkthrough of sample problem number 6. So if anybody needs this outside of class, I do have a template that is now posted out under the Canvas module for this week. I posted templates for the weighted average method, the FIFO method, including sample problem number 5, and the chapter 7 template for weighted average multi-process, which is basically the same as the regular weighted average, but it has an extra column added in for transferred in goods. So we've got in problem number 6, Big Smoker Incorporated. They're producing hardwood pellets for barbecue. They use the weighted average method. All direct materials are added at the beginning of the period. Conversion costs are added uniformly throughout production. All right, so here they're telling us they had 20,000 units in beginning work in progress or process, sorry. And then during February, they started production on an additional 320,000 units. So that gets us to a total of 340. I'm just putting this in here. So we've got that totaled up. And then they're telling us that, let's see here, end of work in process at the end of the period was 40,000 units. And so if we're accounting for 340,000 units, and we know that there was 40,000 left at the end, we can extrapolate. The amount here that we have to account for has got to be the same, or that we have accounted for has to be the same that we need to account for up here. So, so 340,000 minus the 40,000 is going to give us 300,000. And if we total this up here, they do add up, right? Okay, now, because we know that these are 100% complete for direct materials, we know that the items that were complete, we know that all of these, because they're complete at the beginning of the process for direct materials, this is going to be equal to that number. And equal to B10. So we've now accounted for all of the units there. And then as far as the items that are completed and transferred out, those are also going to be 100% complete for conversion costs if they've been completed. Okay. But the WIP, we will only have units to account for here based on what percentage they are complete. So looking here, the beginning work in process inventory was 100% complete for direct materials, 25% complete for conversion costs. Because this is the weighted average method, we don't really care about that right now. But during February, production was started on an additional 320,000. Let's see, sorry. Where am I looking at? I started reading and I looked away. 25% ending work in process inventory was estimated to be 100% complete for direct materials and 75% complete for conversion costs. Okay, so we're going to take, if I put this here, 0.75, I'm going to take that E10 times my number of work in process units, and that's going to give me 30,000 units there. All right, so equivalent total units accounted for there is going to be 330,000. So that's our equivalent units for conversion costs there. Let's see here. So we already solved this one right here. So 300,000 units that were started into production there. That's where that number came from. And then equivalent units for direct materials, we've got that. That's the 340,000, and equivalent units for conversion costs, that's the 330,000. All right, so we're partway done here. And then the total costs that we are going to account for. Now we need to accumulate the costs. So the beginning units that we had, Let's see here. Beginning work in process units totaled 120,000 for direct materials and 50,000 for conversion costs. So and I don't have the ups. I didn't have that. Sorry, didn't get that in there. 50,000 for conversion costs. All right, so total of 170,000. And then we are adding in during February 2,200,000 in direct materials and 1.5 million in conversion costs. I'm going to paste the formula here. There we go. So 3.7 million. And then I'm going to borrow this formula. So just summing those up all the way across the board. So we see that that's adding up those two. All right, so that gets us our total costs that we need to account for. So that's our next step that we got to enter in here is that 3,870,000 of total costs that we need to account for. So now, in order to get our cost per equivalent unit here, all we need to do is to, we don't really care about this column here because we need to break it out by direct materials. We need to calculate our total costs to account for divided by the total units to account for. And because this is the weighted average method, we don't really care about the beginning. So let's see here. We're going to take our C18 divided by C11. So I'm just going to take that. That's our formula there. And I can just copy this right over actually because we have the separate units there. So this is going to be D18 divided by D11 there. All right, now the costs that we're going to assign to the transferred out units, we're just going to take the number of units times the cost there. So the units transferred out, we had 300. Actually, I'll link this here. So we had the 300,000 in C9 times the cost per equivalent unit in C20. And then if I drag this over, it's going to grab the D9 times D20 there. So 1,409,000. And then down here, we're going to just actually take the ending WIP number. So C10 times the C20. And same over here. And then this is just going to be the total here. Actually, just grab these formulas here. So this is now taking the sum of those two. This is taking the sum of those two, and then this is taking the sum of those two, which if I drag that across, we'll get those two. All right, so then it's asking, all right, so what is the cost per equivalent unit for direct materials? We're just going to enter in our numbers that we already calculated here. So 682. And then cost per equivalent unit for conversion costs, 470. And cost of producing a complete unit in the current period is going to be those combined. So if I add those together, we'll just grab this and make sure I format that to include decimal points. gets us to 1152 total. Cost of direct materials transferred out of production, that's going to be, let's see here, the amount that we had for direct materials here for the items that were transferred out. So, and oops, it wants it to decimals. Okay, so I'm going to reformat these to include decimals. All right, there we go. So now we can read those. Okay, so 2047,058,82. Come on, buddy. Why are you not letting me click in there? It's literally not letting me click in that box. Here, I'm just going to do a check my work and then go back, return, and maybe that'll fix it there. There we go. And then total conversion costs transferred out. That's going to be our 1,409,000. And what are the total conversion costs in ending WIP at the end of the period? So what did we have left? That's just grabbing down here. All right, and that is it for problem number 6.